Hello, this is Danny Raymond, the voice behind Ray's Guide. I try to do videos that don't just mimic what everyone else is talking about. So while everyone else is talking about 4.0, let's get really pie in the sky and talk about 5.0. So if you are saying no, the next big milestone is 1.0 release, that won't be the case. First final releases are not when new major capabilities are added. Although calling something 1.0 feels momentous, it is really just a number change from some sort of X.X.X release candidate. So whatever you think is going to be in a 1.0 commercial release, it isn't going to be there first. First, it's going to be in some sort of alpha or beta release, and that's what we are talking about here. So after the ability with 4.0 to let the game spread across many more star systems and many more players, what is the next thing that will be similarly transformative? Something that has been long promised to be part of the original vision of Star Citizen, so no accusation of feature creep here. It also sets up CIG's revenue model for after release, when it will likely be harder to sell new ships. So, rather than leaving you hanging after all that lead-up, if 4.0 is the interstellar update, with both the jump points, other systems, and the server infrastructure to be able to support that expansion, then the next big set of fundamental features can be grouped together and called the Crew release. And there is 3 connected fundamental features included, and all of them long ago promised. The first is AI Crew, whether that is walking around or in the form of blades added to your ship's computers. And I presume that there is a whole bunch of work that has been already done in Squadron 42, since the fundamental premise of that game is that we are playing on a fully AI-crewed Idris. So I'm presuming that a lot of work has been done to create AI NPC crew for all those standard crew roles. But there is a big step from being able to make an AI crew, for example, gunner, that would be able to work on one ship, to making one that will work on any ship. But at least there is a starting point for it. And Squadron 42 being finished will be freeing up a lot of AI programmers within CIG. Now, CIG has said that for a long time that we should be able to have AI crew, but also that an AI crew ship would be at a competitive disadvantage, which makes sense, but also is something I will need to return to later. Now, the second form of crew that has been promised are character account crews. Back in the earliest days of the project, it was promised that backers who had more than one game account would have those extra game accounts be able to play as NPC crew. As has often been explained, you can have your Han character and your Chewie character. One day you could play your Han character and your Chewie character would be controlled by the AI, and the next day you could play your Chewie character and your Han character would be controlled by the AI. Note that the Han character and the Chewie character are not just any old NPCs, but game account characters. This is because the ordinary NPC character does not have a lot of the database structure like inventory, UEC balances, etc. that a playable character needs in order to be played. Now, I am going to suggest an expansion to this system, but calm down, feature creep haters. I'm suggesting this feature in order to make it ultimately easier to implement the system. The additional feature is to be able to switch control between the Han character and the Chewie character without having to log out and re-enter the game, maybe taking only a couple of seconds. So why does this make the task of creating the AI crew easier? It has to do with diminishing returns. It is relatively easy to make an AI that would make at a detailed level the correct decision correctly executed 90% of the time. Getting from 90% of the time to 98% of the time would likely take far more work than getting it to 90% took. Getting from 98% of the time to 99% of the time would take far more than what it would take to get from 0 to 98%. Getting from 99 to 99.5, far more even still. But here is the real paradox. Until you get to that 100%, users will be frustrated at that even quite infrequent occurrence. But if you do get it to 100% of the time making the same decisions and executing them as well as you would, then you are now no longer at a disadvantage to have an AI crew. But if you get, say mid 90% of the time, but you have, during those times, the ability to jump to the other character and get them unstuck or finish the task the way you would have wanted them to, then you've reached that sweet spot. Still having the AI cruise ship being less than a fully player cruise ship and having to avoid all the work of getting that AI to 100% responsiveness, irrespective of the situation or ship. Then we get to the third component of the crew update, and that is what I call guest play. And this is actually a simple extension of the prior Han and Chewie characters example. Let's say you're playing your Han character and your Chewie character is being played by an AI. But then let's say your friend Luke wants to play on the ship, but they are in a galaxy far, far away. Now, what you could do is just give Luke the password to your Chewie character, have them log on as Chewie, problem solved. Or problem created, since giving out the password to your account, even if it's just your alt, is a really bad idea. What you would like to be able to do is, in effect, create a single-use, possibly time-limited, right to use the Chewie character with perhaps some limits. Not that this is a fast travel exploit, the character is still exactly where it once was. It's simply guest playing the Chewie character. And as the verse continues to get bigger, and I presume that once the technical blockers for 2-star systems are eliminated, more star systems will come on in various 4.x releases, it will take longer and longer for players to gather in a group in one place. It is already long enough to get from one end of Stanton to the other. Imagine the time to get from Stanton through Pyro and then to Nix to, say, get together at Levski. And with that increasing time, just instead guest playing on a friend's sidekick account will look more and more attractive. And that is where CIG's post-commercial release revenue stream comes in. CIG has promised to eventually make every ship purchasable in-game, but they've never promised to make game accounts purchasable with in-game currency or have there be more than one character per game account. So let's say you have a ship that really does best with a crew of 5. Let's say a Constellation. If you're wanting to have those 5 other crew members when needed, and you want to put together a 5-player crew quickly through guest play, you are going to have 4 more game accounts. And that's just for Constellation. If you have a really big multi-crew ship like a Polaris, Perseus, or Kraken, or Idris, it would be needing to buy even more spare game accounts. And then add the number of game accounts that someone who has built a large base would want and able to quickly assemble a group there from across the verse for some sort of event. Which brings up the final component of the cluster of technologies regarding crew, and that is, since the largest fleet admirals will likely have dozens of game accounts now, there would need to be some sort of management interface, perhaps on a second screen, for managing who has been given guest access to which alt accounts and for granting and revoking them. So that is the group of long-promised but still needed technologies that I think would be transformative enough to justify a 5.0 designation. And now for an update on my ship giveaways. To start with, we have our special membership level to cover the costs of doing live coverage of CitizenCon from Manchester with its own giveaway for Hull C, that colossal cargo container carrying craft. And with Manchester less than a month away, your opportunity to get on this giveaway is closing fast. Also, existing See You at CitizenCon members, there is a post on the channel for picking what your recognition button will be. Plus, we have our regular Grow the Channel ship giveaways with Zippy Zazzy's After Zephyr, the Zeus 2 cargo, as well as further on, the marvelous multiplayer mining meta, the Arasta. 1 entry per video. Be a member for automatic entry with each video, or subscribe and comment, some including the secret word. And the secret word for this video is the name of the character that I use as my example of guest play. Fly safe, keep it real, I'll see you in the verses. Daniel Raymond for Ray's Guide.